The kickoff touch release has a sharp attack and a short release. Your hand, wrist, and forearm form a strong knuckle bridge and work as one playing unit. The wrist does not bend on the way down or on the way up. And in this way, there is no tension in the under part of the wrist or in any of the fingers. It also can be a strong sound, and you'll notice that it's almost like the woodpecker, except the woodpecker comes from above and then you return to the place where you began. But in a kickoff, you start on the keys and then you kick off the keys, going forward into the wood of the piano. It's just like kicking a ball. Right? We don't want to kick just with our foot because then the ball would go straight up or it'll be over on that side or that side. But if we kick using our entire apparatus of our legs, our calves, and our ankles, then we're definitely going to kick the ball straight forward. And that's exactly why we call it a kickoff touch release. So the first time that the student encounters it is in the All-in-One Approach to Piano Success, or Succeeding at the Piano, Book 2A on page 30. Okay, so here we have a piece called Little Whirlwind, and the kickoff has a little, not an emoji, but a little icon where the person is kicking the ball so that the student remembers what that motion is like. So here's measure 5. So always tell your students to move forward into the wood of the piano. And then to get out of the kickoff, they just go towards their body. Okay, so there's a lot of forward and back with this kind of motion. So here's the Little Whirlwind. And I put a push off there just for excitement, but you could also use a kickoff there. And if you wanted to make it stronger, I did put a little push off, and what's the difference? The push off, the wrist comes forward, and in the kickoff, the wrist stays in line with the hand and the forearm. So you notice that that gives a nice sparkle to this particular kind of staccato, and we wouldn't want to use woodpeckers because then it sounds like the students are playing in mud. So now let's turn to page 36 in this same book, the Ostrich, and there is one kickoff touch release, and it's at the very, very end of the entire piece. So with this D major chord, we're going to start on the keys again, and we're going to quickly move forward and off the keys. There is also one push-off touch release, and you'll notice it's also push forward and off the keys, but it's with the wrist that moves first. So if I tried to do a woodpecker touch release, it wouldn't work because it's at the end of a slur. If I tried to do a kickoff, let's hear this one. That would work as well. So if you want to have a little bit more of a sound like it's going on to the next note. So if you wanted to have a long musical phrase that stretches those two measures, a kickoff might be a really good option. But when I wrote this book, I decided to make that one be the high point of the phrase. That G. So, and that works pretty well too. And if I used a kickoff, that works out really well. So this is when we have our students experiment with the sound so that they get the sound that they really want for their pieces. And if it's not right, then we tell them why and we teach them the right one. Here we go with the Ostrich. Let's turn to page 42. And you noticed all those nice little woodpecker icons throughout the rest of that piece. Spring by Vivaldi. In the Musicality Girl circle, she asks, were the dynamics correct? Were the staccato notes short and crisp? Try a kickoff touch release in measures 13 and 17, 13 through 17. And I think I'm going to do that. So here we go. Oh my goodness, what would happen if I used a push off? A little bit too loose. And if we just use basic staccatos, the sound isn't as nice, right? It's a little bit more harsh, more severe, and I'm getting really tight in my hands. So the kickoff touch release is definitely what we want to use. Kick off, kick off, kick off, and then kick off, and then drop, right? And a little bit of a roll to come off, kick off, drop, and a little roll. Ready to hear the whole piece without the repeats. Drop and a roll at the end. So you'll notice in this piece, this is the first time we talk about key signatures. And I'm very happy that Piano Success, Succeeding at the Piano, introduces key signatures earlier than other methods. And it's important so that students learn how to read well more quickly. So now let's go on to the all-in-one book 2B, shall we? And let's take a look at, I want to see page 44, Wild Mustangs. This is a marvelous piece for using this kickoff touch release. All right, so students can think about all those different sounds from the push off to the kickoff and also to the nice, the boy that does the drip drop roll. All right, so that's a marvelous way to think about those kickoffs again. And let's go ahead and take a look at the all-in-one 2C on page 39. So I hope you're getting an idea of how that sound changes when we use different touch releases, physical gestures. So here's the Calico Cat on page 38 in all-in-one book 2C. So we have some dropping and rolling motions. You could also call those what? You could call those little gentle push-offs maybe. With a really nice strong push-off there. And now I'm saying to play on the fingertips so the student can drop into their thumb. We don't want a heavy thumb, but we do want them to drop on the thumb to release their tension in their fingers and on the underside of their wrists. So release the tension. I have to do that again. So do you notice? This is really just dropping and then rolling, but I'm not rolling off the key. And I could use a push off there, or I could use a kickoff. Kickoff, it might be a little too jarring, a little bit too short, so let's just use a push off at the end, okay? little push off at the very end. Oh, goodness. Isn't that marvelous? So now let's take a look into other repertoire after the students leave the Succeeding at the Piano Success Method. Let's take a look at the Festival Collection, Book 6. And I'm going to play for you the Beethoven Sonatina, WOO 47, which means that this piece was published after Beethoven passed away. And it's on page 38 of Festival Collection, Book 6. And it's the tempo is Allegro cantabile. And you know what? I have to go teach a performance class for my pre-college students, so I'll be back with you another time. See you soon.